This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we encourage you to like and share them on Facebook and other social media. It's time for Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World in downtown Fort Pierce, across from City Hall in the historic Arcade Building. And now, here's your host, Joanne Seeger.
And thank you so much for joining us today. Happy Thursday. For anyone that's just listening for the first time, welcome to the show. I appreciate everyone's time listening. And today we have an amazing guest for all you listeners. I feel always honored. We get the luxury as retailers to go to this company's seminars and workshops. And when this person speaks, she always has my full attention. Funny, smart, and has a great way to present the information to the audience. So without further ado, and this time only, folks, we're going to skip the breathing exercise that we always start the show with, because I want her to have as much time as necessary to cover all the amazingness. So from my favorite line of vitamins, Terry Naturally, this is Cheryl Meyers. She's so much, literally an amazing woman, very knowledgeable. Terry Naturally company makes the amazing products like Curamed, Curamin, all the ones that are all throughout my store. But today she's going to cover some new exciting information with us. So without further ado, here's Cheryl Meyers from Terry Naturally. Good morning, Cheryl.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yes. I'm so glad you could join us this morning. As I'm sure you heard through the news, my poor listening audience, we've been put through a lot of stress this last full week with Hurricane Dorian, and our area was supposed to be a direct hit on it. So we're literally scrambling to get our lives back in order as of this morning and catching our breath. So we're going to...
I cannot even imagine. I can't even imagine how stressful it is to know that some really devastating storm is creeping towards you, and you just have to sit there and wait to see if it's going to hit or not. I don't live in an area that experiences hurricanes, but when I read these reports on the news, I always just shake my head and say, wow, how stressful must that be?
Yeah, and you know what? I've been, in Florida for 30 years, and I thought I was used to all of this insanity. But because it was so, stagnant, like it was just barely moving, that anxiousness of, just let's either have it or not have it. Please, this not knowing was absolute insanity. So I know that you have some things that we're going to speak about, but I'm hoping that maybe if we, by taking out the breathing exercise, we have time to go over Anxiocalm maybe at the end of the show, because I'm thinking my listeners are probably going to need that product more than ever, just to get feeling normalized again, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. One of my favorites. So yes,
great.
Let's make time for that.
All right. Well, you are always a wealth of information, but I know I am so excited to cover one of your newest products. But if you can just let the audience know a little bit about yourself, for any new listeners or that maybe aren't familiar with the Terry Naturally line, and just start with a few minutes of background for our listeners. That would be great.
Oh, well, that would be great. Yes, I started out in mainstream healthcare, so my first degree is in nursing. I'm a registered nurse. I went to Purdue University, which is an awesome school, but rather rigid, and I was taught that vitamins and minerals are a waste of money and that chiropractors were quacks and did horrible things to people. And so when I first graduated, I kind of believed the same thing. But one of the nice things that happens as we age and gain some life experiences, we start to question some of those beliefs that we were taught when we were younger. And I've had a few eye-opening experiences in working with individuals who were using integrative healthcare and getting some wonderful results. So one of the jobs that I eventually was working at was as a pain control specialist in hospice care, and that's that's care for individuals who are at the end of their lives. So, and the group that I worked with was working with people who wanted to stay in their homes and that had 6 months or less to live. And I had the three biggest populations I had were, of course, people that were dying from cancer, end-stage heart disease, and this was at a time when AIDS was not very well controlled, and so I had a lot of AIDS patients as well. And even though these folks had accepted that there was nothing more in the medical world that could provide them with any kind of cure or life extension or better control of their symptoms, that didn't stop them from trying all kinds of other things. And I saw some real success stories. I didn't see any miracle cures, I'm sorry to say, but I saw people who went on to live maybe a year and a half when doctors didn't expect it and have very good quality of life. And that was back in the time when, do you remember the macrobiotic diet and all of that?
I actually went to school for that in Boston.
Oh my,
33 years ago.
Oh, wow. I don't want to date myself. Yes, they were all these specialty diets that really made a difference. But then I also saw people ripped off like you would not believe. Like one of my favorite patients was this young photographer. He was only in his 30s. He had his own business in New York City. He had come home to the Midwest to die because he had AIDS. And he got tricked into buying this device, a rubber band that he wore around his head at night that had that was attached to a wire with a mild electrical current. And the electricity was supposed to kill the virus in his bloodstream while he slept. And that only set him back $1,300. So
that's an expensive rubber band.
That's an expensive rubber band and battery. So that was my introduction to this world of natural medicine. I felt like there's some really valuable things there. There are other paths to wellness than that very narrow, rigid mainstream medical path. But at the same time, there's also a lot of charlatans out there trying to make a buck off of people when they're at their lowest. And how do you tell the difference between what helps and what doesn't? And boy, be careful what questions you ask because of my curiosity. Next thing I knew, I was body and soul in this industry, and I've been here for 20-some years working in what I like to call integrative health. I don't say that I don't believe that mainstream medicine is always wrong. There's some things they do really well. I often say if I'm in a horrible skiing accident and I break my leg in 6 places, please do not take me to the aromatherapist. Take me to the orthopedic surgeon because they're really good at putting you back together again. But when it comes to chronic diseases, when it comes to complex syndromes, when it comes to prevention, that's where mainstream medicine falls down. And there's a lot of other really effective, scientifically validated interventions that can make a real difference in people's lives. So I have been absolutely delighted at being able to work in the natural medicine world and to also work with a company that values the science, that says, let's see what the science says about how these different ingredients work to support people's health instead of just selling it because it has a pretty package or it's the latest, hottest thing on the market.
Yes, I love that about Terry Naturally, too. I love all the research, all the clinical studies that back up pretty much everything, and especially money-back guarantee on the products to say that how sure we are that, we put out good quality stuff. Love that.
Yeah, I appreciate that as well because a lot of times, dietary supplements, natural medicines that really work and make a powerful difference in your life are not always inexpensive. Sometimes you have to invest a little bit in order to get that. I believe it's totally worth it, but some people might be at first a little like, oh, I don't know if I want to spend the money because I don't know if this is going to work for me. Every single product we sell is a sample product. You buy it, you try it. Don't take 1 or 2 and decide if it works or not. Take the entire bottle. If you get to the end of the bottle or even 2 bottles and it does not do for you what you expected, you bring that back and we'll give your money back. And we're able to do that because so few people, fortunately, don't get results. I mean, occasionally we have somebody who something doesn't agree with them or they had maybe even some unrealistic expectations, but whatever the case may be, it's something that we stand behind because we want people to try these products and see what a difference it can make in their health.
Yep, and that's important because so many people think that, they're just trying to send this gimmick out there and just get our money for 1 box. But no, and that's the whole thing. I have to say, I've been doing this for 30 years and I love selling your products because I can say that, but I know they're not coming back. Like, it's
Yeah.
great. It's like money back guarantee, but as they walk out the door, I just smile because I know they're going to feel better. I know that it will make an impact on them one way or another.
Absolutely.
All right, so we know how great the company is now. Without further ado, do you want to talk about the new supplement, the Andrographis?
Oh gosh, I'm delighted with this one. There's two systems of medicine in the world that have been around for a very long time, and they have this little tiff going because of which one's the oldest. But so there's the traditional Chinese medicine, which has been around for a couple thousand years and is still in practice today. And then there's Ayurveda from India, Ayurvedic medicine, and that has been in practice for a couple thousand years and is still in practice today. So when you look at these two systems of medicine, but regardless, they both have enormous amounts of intelligence and ability to appreciate herbal medicines and understanding of how they're used. And there's one herb in particular that has been valued in both systems of medicine for all that time, and it's called Andrographis. Not an easy name to remember. Andrographis has a nickname. It's called the King of Bitters. Now, that might sound like unpleasant because most people don't like bitter. We use it as sort of a negative term, but for many, many hundreds and even thousands of years, it's been known that a lot of times the plants that have a certain level of bitterness are sometimes the most medicinal. And so being the king of bitters means being the king of effective medical treatment. Now, some of the things that this plant can do, this Andrographis can do, it's just amazing. It helps to fight against bacterial. So it's antibacterial and antiviral. So many people use Andrographis for cold and flu season, but it's also very liver healthy. And we're in the middle of an explosion of people that are struggling with liver problems. There's this one liver disease called NAFLD, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And this is where healthy liver tissue is being replaced with fatty tissue that doesn't do what your liver is supposed to do. And it's estimated that more than 30% of the people over 60 are struggling with NAFLD. The biggest risk factor for developing this liver problem is obesity and high levels of blood sugar, because high blood sugar levels can make a difference in your risk factor for this as well. So as we see obesity increase and as we see type 2 diabetes continue to grow every single year, we're also seeing all of a sudden all these liver issues. And there's been just some great work looking at Andrographis, helping to protect the liver, helping to, if the liver is affected, to keep it stable, to keep it from continuing down that downward slide, to keep it from continuing to develop these problems. There's some great studies on Andrographis as far as helping people with cancer. It helps the immune system deal better with the cancer cells that are traveling through the body. It also helps people that are struggling with colds and flu. So people who have these occasional, what we consider milder illnesses, it can help them get better much faster. Traditionally, it's been used for people who have diarrhea. That's one of the reasons that they used it in Ayurveda. People who were having loose stools, they used Andrographis to help with that. It even slightly lowers your blood pressure. So it almost sounds like snake oil, doesn't it?
It
it's
does.
Like one
it sounds
herbal
amazing.
Product.
Amazing.
It works in so many different areas of the body that it's hard to say, oh, this goes over with the immune system products because it'll help you during cold and flu system, or oh, this will go over with the products that help people that are recovering from cancer, or oh, we should put this over with people who are having blood pressure issues. And sometimes it's a blessing and a curse when you have such a powerful natural medicine that makes such a difference in so many areas of how to talk about it, because as I said, it almost sounds like Ginsu knives. It slices and it dices, but wait, it also juliennes, You just keep going with the different benefits. So the reason Andrographis works in so many different areas is it's part of a rare group of herbs called adaptogens. And adaptogenic herbs, and there's not that many of them, are herbs that don't push up, they don't push down, they push towards normal. It is, and that's why they're so incredibly valued. And in some adaptogens are worth their weight in gold because they don't push up or down; they push towards normal. So let me tell you what that means. Let's say you're having problems with your blood pressure. So if you take some herbs, if you have high blood pressure, it'll help to lower your blood pressure. If you have low blood pressure, if you take certain things, it will help to increase your blood pressure. When you take an adaptogen, it doesn't push your blood pressure up or down. It pushes it towards whatever normal is for you. So if it's running a little high, it'll bring it down. If it's running a little low, it'll bring it up. And you can say that about a lot of different systems in the body as well. So when you start talking adaptogens, then you start to talk about different kinds of compounds that can just do so many different things in the body. So we talk, and I know that some of your listeners may have heard of Andrographis for cold and flu season. And I will admit there's a lot of excellent research on Andrographis and common cold symptoms. So there was this one study looking at people who are just dealing with the common cold. And I don't want to say just because I've been pretty miserable with the common cold before.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah. Oh, runny nose, coughing. Ugh.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Especially if you're like me and you have to speak a lot or you have to fly in an airplane. But anyway, in this study, they did 223 adults that had 2 or more symptoms of the common cold. So they were treated with either Andrographis or a placebo, which means just a pretend pill, for 5 days to see what happened with their symptoms. So for the first 2 days, there was not a lot of difference between the two groups. But by the 3rd day, the symptoms in the Andrographis group had been cut in half versus the placebo group that was still experiencing the same level of symptoms and had no further improvement for the next 2 days. So what we see is that, after a day or two, the Andrographis is able to turn the direction of the cold more towards normal, cut the symptoms in half by day 3, and have almost full resolution by day 5, whereas the placebo group, it was several days after that before they had full resolution.
Well, that sounds like something I would want because, especially that lingering cough, you need to, get rid of that, and it seems like nothing does it, so... Yeah, I'm definitely, Now, I already started taking it as soon as I got the first bottle. My husband and I, we were, literally as soon as it came into the store, a bottle came home with me because we're believers in bitters because of what you mentioned at the beginning of the show, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, all, it's supposed to be in our bodies, and we don't eat bitter foods anymore. So we do Swedish bitters, everything. So this is, oh my gosh, I love this. And Cheryl, I want to bring up one thing too. You mentioned about fatty liver. I just read a report very recently that now even children are having fatty liver disease, and again, not based on alcohol, based on, diet. And so could a child take Andrographis?
Oh my gosh, especially if they're having changes to their liver already at that young age, absolutely. There's a compound in Andrographis called andrographolide. It's not the only powerful compound, but it is the most powerful compound. And it's been shown in published human clinical studies that it is very effective for decreasing liver damage from toxic exposure, and it also stops the abnormal cellular development that leads to cirrhosis of the liver. So when we're dealing with people who have liver disease, if you have liver disease, a lot of bad things happen. A lot of people say, oh, well, I have liver disease, and they don't exactly understand what does that mean. So your liver is your major organ of detoxification. If you have liver disease, you're going to detox more slowly. So that means when you're exposed to toxic compounds, they have a lot more time to do damage in your body prior to your liver grabbing hold of them and taking them out of circulation. So let's just say a common toxin that a lot of people enjoy, let's say tequila. So if you have a healthy liver and no other problems and you take a shot of tequila, you might feel a little goofy for a little bit, and then that feeling goes away, and boom, you're gone, not too much damage done. But if you have a problem with your liver and you have a shot of tequila, you might feel goofy for an extended period of time because your liver has trouble pulling that out of circulation and detoxing it, and so it leaves it around way too long, more than is healthy, before it can grab it and remove it from your system. The other thing that happens if you have problems with your liver is that the liver is the place where your B vitamins, all those important B vitamins, are converted from the inactive form, meaning the form that we find in food and most supplements, to the active form, meaning the form that's used in your body. So let's say you're taking vitamin B12 or vitamin B6, both of which play a huge role in healthy cardiovascular function and neurological function, and you're spending money on these supplements, but they have to be converted into the active form in the liver. You're not getting very much out of those supplements, which then can lead to cardiovascular or neurological problems because you're not getting enough of the right kinds of B vitamins on board. And if that wasn't enough, your liver is the place that makes there's only two antioxidants that your body makes, and they're called glutathione and superoxide dismutase. And they're both super important, but glutathione, I think, is probably a little bit more important than SOD. They're both crucial, but glutathione is used in so many different activities in your body. In fact, a lot of people believe that if there is a fountain of youth in your body, it's glutathione, because glutathione slows the aging process. Well, if you have problems with your liver, guess what? You're not going to make very much glutathione, are you? And then you're going to have accelerated aging. So a different study that was done on Andrographis, standardized to a certain amount of andrographolide, showed that it actually boosts the ability of the liver to make both glutathione and superoxide dismutase. So a very long answer and complicated answer to
but a great
statement.
answer, yeah.
But there's just so much. I mean, we have a whole holiday devoted to our heart. We've got Valentine's Day. I think we should have a Love Your Liver Day, too, because most people don't really understand the vast potential of our liver and what it does to take care of it. And, your liver is an incredibly strong and resilient organ. It has to be. If you lose half of your liver will regrow. So it's constantly trying to repair itself. So if we can take away some of those obstacles to health, if we can remove some of the impediments to the liver trying to heal itself, you can see some tremendous improvements.
Well, that is amazing. So, the liver, I think everyone does understand that, the liver does suffer the consequence of most of our lifestyle choices, and sometimes, prescription drugs and all these things that we're trying to feel better with are just unfortunately damaging our liver more. So if this can be of assistance, I mean, how amazing is that? So do you have any, guidelines? So I have a lot of people that love, your company and that love all the products that Terry Naturally makes. And so they come in and they're buying the pomegranate seed oil, to worry about their breast cancers, and they're buying the Curamin to keep away their aches and pains, and the Saga Pro to help with their bladder strength. And so here comes this, which sounds as amazing, if not more amazing. Would anyone just take it because we all have livers we're worried about, or do you have a certain guideline? I mean, because I know I'm taking it and I'm just like, well, why not? Why wouldn't I? And so what would be a guideline for that, to decide, one more or not one more?
I hear you. Well, first and foremost, I think that there's certain products in our line that are what I would call foundational products, that they do so many different things in your body that depending on what you're dealing with, you might want to take more than one. So, for example, people who are recovering from cancer, they never, ever want to have to go through that again. So when I look at, could you use Andrographis to help in that situation? Absolutely. But could you use Curamed 750? Absolutely. Could you use, our grapeseed extract, extra strength, 400 milligrams? Absolutely. Could you use our PosMed 500? Absolutely, because it all deal with different moving parts of the anti-cancer machinery in your body. And if you strengthen a part of the machine, the machine's going to work better. But boy, it's going to work better still if you strengthen two parts of the machine. So when I'm talking about really serious issues, I talk about it used in a protocol. I say that it's one of the four legs that holds up the table in those serious instances. If someone is dealing with liver health, I think that the two best products to use for that would be our Curamed 750, which itself also has studies on helping individuals with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So some people say, well, why not take one versus the other? It's just as I said. Think of it as a complex machine. The Curamed may play a huge role in helping the first part of the machine, but it doesn't mean it's going to strengthen all parts of the machine. So when you start to use things as a protocol, you're going to just get better results. If you're worried about cold and flu season, and you just want to take something every day to help prevent cold and flu, Andrographis may be something that you would choose to take. But if you have come down with a serious viral illness, maybe you've got a really bad flu, and we all know how devastating that can be, I would use more than Andrographis. I would use the Andrographis. We also have an amazing product called ViraPro that provides that European, it's an Austrian elderberry called Hirschberg elderberry that makes this huge difference in being able to help people get over the flu faster. And we also have a propolis that has direct antiviral activity. So it's hard for me to say use product A for problem A and product B for problem B. It's like saying, which food do you eat to be healthy? Well, oranges are awesome. So are eggs if you're not vegan. So is spinach. I mean, there's not just one food that's going to make you healthy. It's a combination of a variety of nutrients that are going to get you there. So, that's why I know it can be confusing. And that's when people ask me about getting involved in the world of natural health, they always say, well, what product should I take? If I'm only going to take one product, what product should I take? And I say, well, if you want to ask me what's the one thing you can do to improve your health, I say you develop a relationship with a health food store where you trust those people that work there. Because if you have a good, trusting relationship with intelligent people who are working with these issues every single day, they're going to guide you in the right direction. Because I do this full time, and it is hard to keep up. And you need to have somebody out there that's doing the sorting for you. Hey, this stuff is good. It has a published human trial. We know how it's from a company that has high-quality standards. I think you're going to get results from this versus a lot of stuff that may just be all smoke and mirrors that you wouldn't carry in your store. So I always encourage people, please, 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 find a store, find people that you feel comfortable with. You don't have to, develop a relationship with the first store you stop at. Visit a couple. Find people who know what they're talking about and really listen to you so they can help you put together a health protocol that gets you to where you want to be. Whether that's one product, 3 products, or maybe even 5 products, they're going to be able to put together a protocol that really makes a difference in your life.
Yes, I gave for my hurricane customers the 2 days in prep time a whole store discount to help people because, we were buying so many unexpected things like generators and batteries and extra gas. So my Terry customers took advantage of that special. Let me tell you, they had like all the products lined up, the grapeseed, the Curamed, the everything, like boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh, you're taking advantage. This is good. But I do want to tell my listeners right before we go on the break that when we are talking right now about Terry Naturally Andrographis, and this is a new product for us. We have a beautiful display in the store as well as all of Terry Naturally's cutting-edge products. And so if you come in and mention the radio show, you will get a free book from Terry on the Andrographis. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. And it's just first come, first serve. So hopefully you get in there soon. So if you mention the radio, you will get the free Andrographis book that explains in detail, which Terry Naturally is so good at giving the correct information without exaggerating it or blowing it up. So Cheryl, we'll be back right after this break, and I can't wait to talk about more Terry Naturally products. And so we'll be right back, everybody.
Gut pain? Curamin is your safe, effective answer. Curamin from Terry Naturally doesn't just mask pain, it gets to the source and stops it. Get results or your money back. Gut pain? Get Curamin. Get Curamin at Joanne's World of Nutrition, US 1 at Orange Avenue across from City Hall in downtown Fort Pierce. Or visit joannesnutritionworld.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, and this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Curamin is for the use of occasional muscle pain due to exercise or overuse.
Hey, it's Dr. Ravi at Tradition Family Chiropractic. We are dedicated to serving you and your family with integrity, compassion, and innovative care through the most advanced chiropractic care ever in chiropractic history, encouraging your health and your family's health to its maximum potential on a regular basis. Call us today at 772-345-0060 or schedule online at traditionhealth.com for your free consultation.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
And now back to Joanne's World of Nutrition with Joanne Seeger.
Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. I hope all my listeners are recovering from the crazy week we all have had. And we have an amazing guest today, Cheryl Meyers from Terry Naturally. We just spent the first half of the show talking about Andrographis, which is one of their newer items, which I'm already taking and love. And so the king of bitters, huh, Cheryl? So far, it's sold me even more. I'm so glad I already have it in my body, working and doing some great stuff. But
I tell you, I use this myself just because of a lot of issues. One of the things I love about really good quality dietary supplements and herbal medicines is the side effects are fantastic. When you take, like, for example, if you take an over-the-counter drug like ibuprofen, like Motrin or Advil, things like that, your side effects are things like stomach ulcers and gastrointestinal bleeding and raising your blood pressure and all that sort of thing. But when you take Andrographis EP80, the side effects are things like, okay, I might be taking it to help prevent colds and flu or to get over them faster, but by golly, it's also helping to take care of my liver and helping to promote certain activities in my body that help to fight against the cancer risk. And, it just, the list goes on and on. So, yes, I love it for what it does, and I love it for its fantastic side effects, too.
I know, and
I have to mention about this.
Sure.
No, I'm sorry. I have to mention about this Andrographis that we were talking about. This is actually 2 extracts of Andrographis reblended together. And I told you the andrographolides are important, but they're not the only important compounds. They're the most powerful, but that doesn't mean it doesn't need its little brothers and sisters to really make it powerful. So it's standardized to a very high potency of andrographolides, so that's 80 milligrams. But we use 2 different extracts to make sure that we're capturing the broadest spectrum of all of the medicinal aspects of Andrographis. So that's when it says, when you read on the label, it says proprietary EP80 blend. That's the name of the blend of the 2 different Andrographis, I'm getting tongue-tied, Andrographis extracts that are put together to have the most diversity of nutrients.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And that's what you guys seem to always do, like not just take some regular herb and cut and sift and throw it in pills. You actually try to get the strongest sourcing and the safest and, keep it as effective in the body as long as possible. So that's why I love everything I take from you guys. I really feel it working. And now the part that really got me to start taking it actually was the digestive. So I've always taken bitters thinking, I know I have a very weak digestive system. So that's why I looked into bitters many, many years ago. So how does Andrographis help us in the digestive world?
Well, there have been some published clinical trials on using Andrographis for a variety of gastrointestinal issues. One study was on ulcerative colitis, and that's a chronic, inflammatory, very uncomfortable problem that happens in the colon, where you get a lot of ulceration and bleeding and sometimes spasms and loose stools. And a lot of it's triggered by 2 inflammatory markers that are part of the inflammation machine called the interleukins. So it's interleukin 23 and interleukin 17. You don't have to remember that, but one of the things that Andrographis can do is it can modulate those 2 enzyme systems downward. Means it doesn't wipe them out or take them out of circulation entirely, but it ratchets it down enough that you get some alleviation of that constant inflammation in the gut. There was also a study looking at helping to prevent gastric ulcers. And they have found that it boosts the mucus production in the stomach. And trust me, in your stomach, mucus is a good thing because you have a little bit of a lining of mucus that helps to protect the stomach tissue from all of those different things that we're eating and chewing, and it dramatically reduced the risk of developing lesions or ulcerations in the lining of the stomach, and helps to modulate the pH balance of the stomach as well. And in another study, they were looking at how does it work to help with like ulcer prevention and other kinds of GI issues, and they found that it helps to stimulate and preserve a compound called mucin. And mucin is a protein that helps to create the mucosal lining in the stomach and the duodenum, especially. The duodenum is a little transitional area at the bottom of your stomach. As food leaves your stomach, it enters the duodenum and then heads into the small intestines. And sometimes people get ulcerations or inflammation in the duodenum. And what they found is that this was able to, in that study, they were looking specifically at its ability to help stimulate that protein that keeps that mucosal lining healthy and strong. And once again, they found this in the liver studies, but they found this in the GI studies, is it helps to stimulate more glutathione production. And healthy glutathione levels in the body, we talked about it being anti-aging and antioxidant, but glutathione is also used for detoxification and certain interactions between the liver and the GI tract. So it's interesting to me that researchers in different parts of the world looking at totally different issues, one of the commonalities that they found was this ability to stimulate glutathione activity.
Wow, okay, I'm kind of blown away right now. So what is, I don't know if on my world, it seems like everyone is getting diagnosed with leaky gut syndrome. So if they have other symptomology or anything going on with them, it's coming back to it's because you have leaky gut. So in the way you just described to me, this sounds like it would be so amazing to help that situation, keep everything where it belongs, and absorb only what is really meant to be absorbed through. So that's awesome.
Yeah, the issue with leaky gut is the doorways are open a little bit too wide. And our bodies are designed to absorb nutrients of a certain size. And sometimes when larger nutrients that haven't been fully broken down get absorbed by accident, your body doesn't know what to do with them. And then your immune system says, holy heck, there's some kind of invader in here. We don't know what this is. And then your immune system flares up because it thinks it has to deal with an invasion. And when you do that over and over again, like with every single meal that you eat, that constant irritation of the immune system is it's not the only thing that's going on, but one of the factors that triggers the beginnings of autoimmune diseases. So when people have any kind of autoimmune disease, whether it's rheumatoid arthritis, whether it is lupus, whether it is multiple sclerosis, which has certain autoimmune elements, whatever the case may be, integrative doctors are going to immediately look at what's going on in the gut and what's being absorbed. So Andrographis is useful, absolutely, but there's a lot that needs to be done to help these people who truly have leaky gut, or what sometimes they call it altered intestinal permeability, that involves like our very, very high quality probiotics. We have our colon and bowel probiotics, so you have to replenish the probiotics using digestive enzymes to make sure that food is being fully digested. Because sometimes one of the biggest issues with leaky gut is the fact that your body's not making enough enzymes to fully break down your food. So if you get enough enzymes up front while you're eating, you can reduce some of those leaky gut symptoms after the fact. There's a compound called glutamine that's often used by practitioners in supplemental form to help people with gut repair. And then we also have a product called Bosmed Intestinal Bowel Support that deals with some of the inflammatory factors that are involved in leaky gut issues. So again, one of those complex problems that doesn't have a single ingredient. I wish I could say, take vitamin C and it'll all go away. But, if you put together an intelligent protocol addressing the different parts that are broken or are not fully functioning, you can get really good resolution of a lot of the issues that are revolving around leaky gut.
And, Cheryl, a lot of our listeners are probably, picking up bits and pieces of what you're saying and, maybe a little overwhelmed. Could you just tell anyone that's like driving in their car about Terry's show and all the different podcasts that's available online? Because I know they're going to kind of get out of their car and go, wow, that was a lot of information and I want to like try these out, but whoa, So could you give them some info online where they can maybe get some more education besides coming to my store?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, they should come talk to you, Joanne, because you're really knowledgeable about this whole world. But there's also an educational website that the founder of our company has, and it's called Terry Talks Nutrition, and it's all like one word when you search for it, terrytalksnutrition.com, rather. And on it, you can go to featured articles. You can search for articles. There's a Q&A section where you can ask Terry your questions. So let's say you say, I have X, Y, and Z. What supplements would you recommend? Now, the answers are not going to be names of products because this is what we call a third-party educational website. This is not a product. This is not a website where we're trying to sell products or saying, and now for a short time only, if you buy two, you get 20% off. It's not
Give
that
us
kind
your
of
credit card for a year.
Give us your credit card number. I love this website because it doesn't do that. This is all about education. So if you want to find out anything from how to listen to Terry's radio show, which he does weekly, podcasts, if you want to look at past webinars, we have a huge number of webinars where we've had different invited professionals that have come in and done lectures on certain either health topics or herbs or other types of natural medicine. You can sign up for a free health newsletter. We never, ever, ever give away your email to anyone. We're very scrupulous in that department because I know, have you ever signed up for something to get a discount on shoes and the next thing you know someone's trying to sell you a car? I don't understand how that works.
It's insane. It's like 100 emails come in based on filling out one form, Ugh, hate it.
Absolutely. So
well, that's definitely a lot of education. And two, if someone for some reason doesn't have access to the internet, at my store I have all of Terry's literature pieces that are all free. So you can just come in and take whatever topic is as interesting. Oh, now I'm tongue-tied. Is interesting to you, and but yeah. So for any newbies, Terry Naturally is my top-selling line at the store. I've been using their supplements for many, many years. I knew Terry way back in his earlier days, so too long to mention. And so we definitely, you need to come check out Terry's products. We're talking about Andrographis right now, which is the newest and very overwhelmingly amazing supplement. And I do want to ask you a few other questions about other supplements. Is there anything else we need to finish up with the Andrographis?
Nope, I don't think so.
Awesome. Okay. So, all right. So, we have been selling a lot of Bosmed respiratory support. So, the Boswellia formula, respiratory support formula. And I was just curious. So, a lot of my customers, some of them, it's, that chronic cough that they're not really sure what it's tied to. There's some awful tie-ins sometimes with heart issues or just, a lingering cough from, a cold or flu. But would the Andrographis, would I just, start both at the same time, or to tackle that cough issue, that respiratory part?
Well, the problem is that once you're over the cold or the flu, it's usually not the infection that's causing the cough. It's some kind of chronic irritation, could be postnasal drip. It could be lots of different things. So after you've resolved the illness that's causing the cough, I don't think the Andrographis is going to help with that lingering cough. But there are a couple of products that can make a huge difference. So if it's a postnasal drip kind of issue, like when you wake up and you kind of feel like there's something in the back of your throat, or you feel like there's a lot of tickling in your ears, a lot of that means that you've got a lot of fluid going on in your sinus cavities. I would try the Sinucare, quite honestly, to help get that fluid out of there. If it's not so much that, but you still have like this irritating cough, absolutely the Bosmed Respiratory is designed to help reduce the inflammation in the lungs. And sometimes you have lingering inflammation even after the illness is gone. If there's a lot of congestion in the lungs, and it's not a dry cough, but like a kind of a, like if you feel like you've got kind of constantly clearing your throat and congestion, we have a product called Bronchial Clear that comes as both tablet and also comes as a liquid that can help break up those secretions so that you can get them out of your body more easily. And, so there are options out there for helping to get over those dry coughs. And at the risk of being overwhelming again with offering too much information, there's a form of calcium called calcium lactate. And calcium lactate is the kind of calcium that lives in your tissue. It's not the form that's in your bones or in your teeth. It's like tissue calcium. And sometimes we have a product called Muscle Relax, and it's calcium lactate, and I think it has a little bit of magnesium, a little bit of zinc in it as well. But I know that sounds crazy to take Muscle Relax for a cough, but some individuals, every now and then you'll find a person who has this chronic cough because low tissue levels of calcium will cause coughing. Like kids, have you ever, like with your children that have been outside, if you're out at the camp and they're outside playing all day long and they're not sick, but they come in and they constantly have this little nagging cough? Well, a lot of that is because sunlight exposure depletes tissue calcium lactate from the body, and so sometimes these kids have this little cough. But that Muscle Relax, if that's the reason, it works like a miracle. I mean, it works quickly. You use a 2, 3, 4 Muscle Relaxer of this calcium lactate before bed, and you're not going to cough again until the next day.
Wow, I always learn something new with you, Cheryl, and so there we go. That was it for this morning. So awesome information, and I am guilty of not having that product, but it will be at the store within the week. So that's awesome, and that makes sense to me. That really does make sense because we do have issues with the minerals that should be in our tissue versus the ones in our bones, and working with the heart and all these other things. So that makes total sense to me, so I will get that product on board. All right, so Angziocalm, we mentioned it at the beginning of the store. It's one of my favorite products that you guys make. It really does well in my store already. I mean, it flies out the door, and people have told me time and time again that it's working for chronic anxiety and daily anxiety in their life. But can you kind of describe to our listeners the mechanism and how, with all this very stressful time with the storm and economic pressure from, budget increases, how they can use Angziocalm?
Right. Well, in our bodies, we have these receptors called cannabinoid receptors. And if you heard that word cannabinoid before, it's probably because you've heard of hemp and CBD and marijuana, because marijuana and hemp both contain a huge amount of these compounds called cannabinoids, and they're all different. Just like everybody who lives in your city is different. Some are tall, some are short, some are redheads, some are brunettes. Well, that's the same thing with the cannabinoids as well. They're all different, but they're all family related. Well, there turns out that there's other plants that also contain cannabinoids. Carrots have a little bit of cannabinoids in them, so do cloves. And this species, the kind of echinacea that we use, has a unique cannabinoid that's found only in echinacea. You can't take regular echinacea and get any results because it's in there in a very small amount. You have to remove it and concentrate it to get the medicinal benefits. It was developed at the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, and what they found is this compound, they call them a phyto or plant-based cannabinoid. This group of alkaloids attaches to the cannabinoid receptors in the brain. And when I'm talking to patients or when I'm talking to customers, I tell them that it's like a series of light switches in your brain, and they get switched on or they get switched off. Well, this flips some switches, but not all the switches. So it flips the switches for relaxation, calm, focus, feeling, and control. But it does not flip the switches to make you drowsy or goofy or changes in your judgment or craving brownies. So you don't
I know
have
where
to,
you're going with that.
you don't have to worry about that. You can take this product and drive. You can take this product and go to work. It's not going to have that problem. But what it does is it just takes the edge off without making you groggy, and without being habit forming or addictive. And it has 2 published trials looking specifically at its ability to deal with situational anxiety, which is what you're in. You're in a situation and it causes anxiety. But it's also very useful for people who have everyday anxiety. Maybe they have generalized anxiety disorder, or maybe they have certain types of phobias or social phobias, or there's a whole spectrum of anxiety-based problems that really rob people of the joy in their life. And by using this product, you can make some tremendous inroads. If you take it for occasional or situational anxiety, I would take it a half hour, 45 minutes. Like if you're afraid to get on an airplane, take it a little bit in advance. The dose is variable. You have to experiment a little bit to find out what works best for you. Some people use 1 tablet twice daily. Some people go up to 2 tablets 3 times daily. So somewhere in that range, you're going to find your sweet spot.
Okay, perfect. And they're tiny, tiny little white tablets. So if anyone's listening, is like, oh, I don't like swallowing pills. These things are tiny. I can even swallow them without water. It's very convenient to take the little pouch in your purse. So everyone, I hope everyone got lots of information. And again, go in for a free book on the Andrographis if you mention radio show. Cheryl, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so, so much, and have an amazing rest of your week.
Thank you so much. Same to you.
Okay, take care, Cheryl. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone, and I'll be back next week, and have an awesome week, and I hope everyone feels better.
You've been listening to Joanne's World of Nutrition, presented each week at this time by Nutrition World, in a historic arcade building in downtown Fort Pierce across from City Hall. Archives of this show can be found on YouTube. Look for WPSL TV on YouTube for archives of this show. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast, webcaster to the world. It's 11 o'clock.